Varsity Club, welcome back to another classic. Look, this season didn't end the way we wanted it to for the Kodiaks, but the offseason's here, and I'm feeling a little bit optimistic. I think the only beauty of a lot of our guys getting injured at the end of the season is that guys like Trey Jones or Stan Warren, and we saw guys like Dwight Howard and J.R. Smith get big minutes and come up big. But look at Neesmith as well. That dude, while he missed a lot of shots, also had some major ones as well. It goes without saying, the emergence of Von Diggins went from potential superstar to a superstar that's already here. And that's huge because now we've got our real franchise cornerstone. So check out player retirements. I know I told Dwight Howard to just go ahead and retire. Well, he heard me. So Dwight ended up retiring, as well as J.R. Smith. You see Udonis Haslem, Tyson Chandler, Kyle Korver, Rudy Gay, Aldridge, Rondo, Cephalosha, J.J. Redick. I mean, there's some pretty big names ultimately that retired here. You can see Wesley Matthews, after 11 years, retires. I didn't really think that would happen just yet. From a Hall of Fame inductee standpoint, Dwight Howard, though we didn't get him an NBA title there, he does go out and gets himself in the Hall of Fame. 15 points per game, 12 rebounds, 1.5 steals, and basically 2 blocks for his entire career. He had a good one. You think he's a Hall of Famer though? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. And speaking of Dwight Howard, he gets his jersey retired in Orlando. I think that's pretty much something they had to do considering how good he was for those years. So some wild things happened in terms of the rules that are ultimately approved for the NBA this year. So we're going to allow 2 teams to be coming into the league this year. They eventually said no, but we overrode that. Goaltending has been eliminated, which is crazy because we have Bol. Automatic points are now going to be granted on shooting fouls. No free throws will take place following the foul. That's kind of wild. And the draft lottery tournament gets rejected, as does division winners getting a top 3 playoff seed in each conference based on record. So interesting. There's some major stuff that just happened. So the draft lottery comes out here as well. The Trailblazers, Cavs, and Hawks go 1, 2, and 3 respectively. The big things though, we have 2 expansion teams coming in: the Pittsburgh Ironmen and the Seattle Supersonics. They go 5 and 6 respectively. Where are we at? We get the 12th pick overall. And then, did I miss anything? Wait, just number 12? Didn't we have another one? I guess we technically didn't get the other one because of sort of how things ultimately win. So we're picking at 12, and then we also have 21. So things didn't really go the way we wanted. We thought we might have 10 and 14 where we were projected, but we didn't get it. Now, as you saw with the expansion draft, we have to protect 8 of our players, and then ultimately the others are in a pool to potentially be drafted. Only one of those guys can be taken essentially from your team, but it still is a little scary. So who we've selected has been Sabonis, Anunoby, Von Diggins, Cam Johnson, Obi Toppin, Trey Jones. We're letting Neesmith potentially go out there right now. Again, he's an important part, but not that important in my opinion. Then we're going to have Bol, who is, again, super important for us, and also RJ Hampton. Again, there's some movement that could possibly be happening there, but we need to make sure at least those guys stay in our team. And unfortunately, in the expansion draft, you can see that Neesmith goes in the 2nd round, the 3rd overall pick. We lost him. It sucks. We don't really get much for him, and that's going to hurt. So to give you a look at what the Ironmen ultimately have, they've got DeRozan, Monty Morris, Derrick Rose, Marcus Morris Sr., Neesmith, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, Elijah Hughes, Kevon Looney, Gary Clark, Patty Mills, Chris Clemens, and then Alexi Young and Nick Richards, which is, again, a big pickup for them, getting that young center. And they also get Barry Evans. And then if you go ahead and look at the Supersonics, again, their team has some potential here. Jeremy Grant, Joe Harris, Luke Kennard, Jermaine Hobson, again, one of those talented rookies out of the previous draft class. Terrence Ross, who we all saw what he did to us in the postseason. Lou Williams, Smalagic, I can never say that dude's name. Peyton Pritchard, Reggie Perry, Sean Jones, Ish Smith, Isaiah Joe, Vernon Carey, Dragon Bender. Not the most talented roster, but there's potential in Seattle. So we haven't really taken much time to sort of look at the mock drafts or the NBA draft this year. The number 1, without a doubt, guy is Gene Dupin. This guy is incredible. If you go ahead and look at what he ultimately has, he has 20 badges. Scott report, we're calling him that he could be Kawhi Leonard. At worst, going to be Jay Crowder for them. This dude is going to be an absolute monster. We have no chance to get him. But the thing is, even being the unanimous number 1 pick, he also has a year that he has to stay overseas before an NBA team can ultimately sign him. So you won't see him next season. He's another year out, which is an interesting part. Joe Mason's a great center. RJ Johnson Odom is a 6'10" small forward, can also play shooting guard. Cassius Kane, another really talented shooting guard. I really want to try to get us a backup small forward. Some of the guys I wanted to really up there at the top. We might try to make a trade here. Jamario Kramer's a solid dude as well. Posty, again, you're seeing a lot of foreign players sort of coming into this year. With us picking at 12, Sylvester Taylor, again, a solid shooter here. Could potentially be a Vince Carter type player. but he really only can play shooting guard. He has no really versatility to go up to small forward or down to point guard. We need some versatility. So the NBA draft is here. Again, the Trailblazers have your #1 overall pick. They go with RJ Johnson Odom. Again, this dude I think is going to be an absolute stud, but I'm shocked that he went #1 and not #2. I'm guessing they wanted somebody that could play year one. I have to sort of have an overseas guy sort of sit there for a little bit. Randolph Kent, the point guard from UVA, goes second. Another thing that I'm blown away by. He's still sitting there. Go to pick #3 now. Let's see who ends up going. There's been a trade, so Chris Middleton is now heading to Atlanta for the 3rd overall pick and then the 2022 second round pick, which is 65 overall. So that's a big pick for them. Didn't expect that to really be enough. And Milwaukee is going to pair Giannis Dupuin. That's scary. Moving to pick 4, Cassius Kane ends up going to Minnesota. Again, that's the guy that I think I really wanted. That was probably the most realistic. We didn't really have much of a chance for him to fall to us. Pick 5, he's the center out of Notre Dame. Joseph Mason, go to the Pittsburgh Ironmen. Again, those jerseys are kind of clean out there. Seattle takes Cole Waters. Again, their franchise point guard, 6'6", 202 pounds out of St. John's. They produce great talent. Can he be the guy that leads the Supersonics? We'll find out. Our expansion rivals make a nice little trade here. Royce O'Neal and the 2022 first round 8th overall pick from OKC. They end up getting for their 7th overall pick. So they trade back 1 and they get a player that can really help bolster the roster a little bit. And the small forward, Brooke Adams, ends up getting taken by OKC. So there's been a run on small forwards, which is a position that we needed the most. So it's finally our turn to go ahead and pick a player. There aren't really a lot of really talented players that are here. Post Nova, again, the talented center is still there, but he's still got a year out before he can even pick him. Jamario Kramer is a potential option here, the 19-year-old. He's got B+ 3-point scoring. His perimeter defense is not really all that great. Athleticism is pretty solid. He's 6'8", can play pretty much just small forward. His ceiling is Andre Iguodala. Floor is PJ Tucker. This is the guy I think we ultimately got to take a chance on. I still want to try to make a trade for Cassius probably once the whole draft thing is done. The problem with Jamario as well is that he's sitting overseas for another year. So even making a trade with him becomes complicated. Even though they don't show him, ultimately we decided to take Jamario Kramer. He's one of the best players available. And if we want to use him as possible draft capital in the future before we ever get him in the States, we could potentially do that. Another big trade comes in here. The Grizzlies and Cavs swap Kyle Lowry and Alfonso McKinney for the 15th overall pick in the 2023 second rounder. And that's where Post Nova essentially is going to go. He's going to be going to Cleveland, but again, not this year. He has to wait a whole nother year before he can actually come to the States. So to recap the draft and ultimately how it looked, again, Johnson Odom goes 1st overall. We see Dupuin end up slipping to the #3 pick to the Bucks in that major trade, which again, blows my mind that they essentially got him and they're going to add him with Giannis there. Cassius Kane went forward to the Timberwolves, which is where we were trying to trade in earlier, but they wanted us to give up Von Diggins. We couldn't do that. And then recap again, at #12, we take Jamario Kramer, a 76 overall 19-year-old, has a year overseas before he can actually come over here, but we'll still be fine, I think, ultimately with him. Then we also at pick 21, we get Hubie Barnett. Didn't really show him, but his ceiling was Paul Pressey. His floor was DeAndre Liggins, but again, they're saying he's a good 3-point shooter. They're saying he's going to be a guy that can really do a lot for us, and he's a good defensive player. Can't really dunk, but let's see what his 3-point shot is, 75. That should be solid enough. That should help replace what we had from Neesmith. And then in the second round, we took Jarrell Gary. The big reason why I took him is they said his ceiling is Dwight Howard. So we just lost Dwight Howard, obviously, to retirement. But if we can get a young Dwight Howard at him in 3, 4, 5 seasons, that's a solid pick in the second round. When we look at rookie team options, player options, we got a lot here. So we have Cam Johnson, we're going to accept that. Obi Toppin, 2 years, obviously we're going to accept that. Trey Jones, Desmond Bain, RJ Hampton, even Christopher, who kind of hates us right now, we're going to do. But for Kenyon Martin, who didn't really play much this year, we're going to let him go to free agency and find a team that can give him some playing time. Now, there's also some big movement in the NBA. James Harden declines his player option, as does Jimmy Butler, Kyrie Irving, Ja Morant, and Zion both accept theirs. I mean, Zion just won a title. Why would he not do that? Russ Westbrook declines. Kevin Durant, who has a ruptured right Achilles to end the season, declines his as well. Then we're also going to see as we move down through here, any other big names to decline. So the only other big name was Derek Favors. I played around with trades for a little bit, and a trade actually went through that, let's just say I was not expecting to go through. Cassius Kane for Cam Johnson, Jamario Kramer, and our 2023 first-round draft pick from the Braves, which is top 10 protected. I don't really think that is going to matter. I think they're going to be probably in the 15 to 20 range, so we're okay there. We have 2 other draft picks. We have 1 from the Knicks. We have our own personal draft picks. So we still have 2 draft picks in 2023. I think we got our small forward of the future. It also frees up a lot of playing time. Again, at power forward, we have Obi Toppin and Stan Warren. Granted, Sabonis is probably going to be playing a lot of power forward this year, with Bobo being our starting center. We just got a little bit more proper depth ultimately for our team. And then at small forward again, Anunoby can be our starting small forward, but Cassius Kane, I expect him to get a lot of playing time. So free agency's wrapping. We only signed one guy. I'll show you him in a second. But the big news of free agency is that both Kevin Durant and James Harden left Brooklyn. James Harden went to Indiana. There are no strip clubs in Indiana, James. I'm sorry. Russell Westbrook, oddly enough, goes back to Houston. Kevin Durant goes back home to DC. So you're going to have Felix Terry again, that young center who is well on his way to being dominant. Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Avdija, Hachimura, Cassius Winston. They're building something in DC for probably the first time ever. And another big one is Yusuf Nurkic ends up going to Cleveland. So they have Nurkic, Okoro, and Valanciunas as their top guys. So two of their top three ends up being center. Remember, Kyle Lowry is a part of that trade package, which essentially brought them, I think, another center in post Nove. So there's a lot of people playing in the post in Cleveland. And the last big move, again, LeBron James is still playing for LA, but it's the Clippers, as you guys know from the previous year. But Chris Paul ends up going over there too. Okay, he's back with the Clippers, but he has LeBron James this time. So from a player progression standpoint, we got a lot of really good news, but we also saw that Sabonis went down -3. So I'm assuming that's because of the injury, because he was having an incredible year, but he goes down. The big things are physicality goes down. Don't really see much else to really decrease in his game, but we'll see what he ultimately does. Anunoby goes up 1 to an 82. Diggins goes up 3 to an 81 overall. His inside, his mid-range, and his three-pointers are all looking fantastic right now. Cassius Kane, again, a rookie, stays at an 80. Obi Toppin goes up to a 79. RJ Hampton, even though injured, goes up to a 78. Trey Jones up to a 77. Desmond Bane a 77. Bobo 77, going up 5 points. He went up a huge amount, and when he's a starter all this year, probably even more. Stan Warren goes up 1. Barnett, again, a rookie. Darnell Paul's got to be picked up in free agency. To show you guys essentially what he's got. Big reason we wanted him is that he's got B+ for his 3-point scoring, and perimeter defense is a B. I need a guy that can come in late game, spell some of our guys. RJ Hampton may not be ready to start of the season. We needed a backup point guard, and we got one in free agency for a pretty cheap deal. And then Rabuyu Christopher, not super happy. He obviously hates being here. Even though it says he's thrilled, he did hate us for a long time, so I'm kind of surprised, but we'll get him some playing time this year. He's -3. I think he'll be up +3 by the end of the year. This year for training camps, we have 2. So I think ultimately what I want to do is sort of do low post offense, probably for Bobo. I think his potential is like super high. We can check really quick. B+. You know what? I'm actually going to put untapped potential on Bobo. I thought he was gonna be a little bit higher than that, but we'll put him there. So he goes from a B+ to an A- again. Fantastic news. And then I think the other one we're probably gonna do, this is gonna be a tough one. Combo guard. I kind of feel like that's Von Diggins, who should have really good potential as well. He's at an A. We'll go ahead and give him combo guard, see what he ultimately gets. Some good increases there overall. Ball handling to a 91, mid-range to a 92, draw foul to 54. I need him at the free throw line a little bit more, but I also need him to make some free throws. Maybe we should have worked on that. So to start the season, we're going to have Trey Jones, Von Diggins, Anunoby, Obi Toppin, and Sabonis. If you're wondering where RJ Hampton is, again, he's injured. We won't see him for probably at least 2 to 3 weeks before the season jumps in. So to start the season, RJ Hampton won't be ready at the beginning of the year. So Trey Jones will be our starting point guard. Von Diggins, again, holding down the number 2 spot. Anunoby at 3, Sabonis at 4, Bobo at 5. First guy off the bench will be Cassius Kane, followed by Obi Toppin. Then you have Desmond Bane, happy to have him back healthy. Stan Warren, Hubie Barnett. We're going to find ways to get in Darnell Paul, get in Rabuyu Christopher, and Jarrell Gary. Maybe he comes in, but RJ Hampton, again, will be on the reserves. Once he's ready, Gary will move to swap with him, and then we'll get him back in the starting lineup. We're still an incredibly young team, but we have so much talent, and I think we kept the majority of what we had. Some guys like Cam Johnson, ultimately are no longer here, but I think it was for the best. And ultimately, we won't know until we see what happens when RJ Hampton is healthy and he's back in the lineup, Trey Jones off the bench, and we really see what Cassius Kane can do as our 6th guy. There's a lot going to be relying on him because Neesmith and Johnson are both gone. The next episode will give us the start of the next season. We've got new uniforms, some slight adjustments to the arena. Things are going to be working out pretty well. But again, the question is, we were an inch away from the NBA Finals. Can this team do what we did last season, but even better? That's a question we got to answer.